Yo, what's up, world? It's your man Slim Jim Longfoot, aka the GOAT King of America. Yo, this is a spoiler review of Brand New Day. Spider-Man, Brand New Day. So do not watch this video if you do not want to be spoiled. If you do not want to be spoiled, don't watch this video. Don't be like, oh, this is a spoiler review. I can't believe it. You saying all the stuff about the movie. Don't watch it then. Don't watch it. If you do not want to be spoiled, don't watch this. Only watch this if A, you want to be spoiled, or B, you've already seen the movie. So whenever you're watching this, I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, most definitely check out the other videos here on the channel, such as my product reviews, my how-to videos for YouTubers, my TV and movie reviews, my reactions, my video clips, my shorts, my live streams, my daily vlogs, and also my art video series, GOAT 1408 TV. Now, let's get to it, man. Brand New Day. Now, let me tell y'all, history on this shirt right here. You see his Spider-Man right there. If you know this shirt, Spider-Man crawling up on the shirt, got it made out of some nice fabric or whatnot like that. I only wear this shirt when I'm going to go see Spider-Man. I have worn this shirt at every movie that has had Spider-Man in it, except for the cameo that was made at the end of what was that, Venom 2 or Venom 1, whichever movie that was, whatever Venom movie that was. I think that was at the end of the first Venom when he got revealed to be Spider-Man, because I didn't see Venom 3. But anyway, I have worn this shirt throughout all the Tobey movies, the Andrew movies, and all of the movies Tom Holland has portrayed Spider-Man in over the past decade. Since 2002, I have worn this Spider-Man shirt to every Spider-Man movie. So yeah, that part. And I only wear it for Spider-Man. I'm only wearing it right now because I just came home from seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day. And when I say it was definitely worth the wait, and I can't wait to see what else happens, it was definitely worth the wait, and I can't wait to see what else happens. It was definitely, of course, a departure from what we call the home trilogy. You know that Tom Holland, of course, appeared in, starting with Spider-Man: Homecoming, Spider-Man: Far From Home, and Spider-Man um, uh, uh, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Spider-Man: Far From Home, and Spider-Man: No Way Home. So, with that being said, you know, the home trilogy was cool, but this right here definitely takes the cake and brought Peter Parker's character to where we know him to be at when it comes to being Spider-Man. You know, I mean, in terms of what happened with the last movie, if obviously you've seen No Way Home, if you're watching this, or whatever you see, or don't care about being spoiled, you watch No Way Home. If you, I mean, it's been almost 5 years, so spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. Um, Everybody that ever knew who Peter Parker was no longer know who Peter Parker is. Peter Parker no longer exists in the world as who he is. He no longer exists. Doctor Strange cast a spell at the bequest of Peter Parker that nobody remembers Peter Parker, which means nobody who ever knew Peter Parker has any memory of him. They only have memories of Spider-Man, but nobody has memories of Peter Parker. Anybody who had a memory about Peter Parker is gone. Anybody who ever knew who Peter Parker was, they no longer know. So that includes, of course, his friends who are still alive, MJ, his girlfriend, and his best friend Ned Leeds. Everybody else, such as Happy and all of them, you know, obviously there was no reason for them to be in the movie because, you know, Spider-Man, you know, Peter basically made himself, you know, recluse and put himself into just doing his crime fighting as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which on the Spider-Man side is doing great. He is doing great. You know, he getting key to the city. You know what I'm saying? He is, you know, beating the bad guys. You know, he's doing all the things. And he's, of course, also helping along Damage Control, who has, you know, locked up a number of people who he was, you know what I'm saying, bringing in. And so, you know, with that being said, you know, we move on to seeing you know, after we you know, seeing, you know, basically the most amazing highlights of Spider-Man going after, you know, saying several different villains and whatnot, including the Hand. You know, the Hand ninjas, if you know that ninja outfit, the Hand. For those that are fans of the Ninja Turtles, the Hand, the foot got was um, was paid in homage to the Hand. The Hand is the warriors, the ninja assassins in Marvel Comics, which of course the guys who created the Ninja Turtles made their, ninja clan the Foot. So that part for those that didn't know. So anyway, I mean, hopefully if you're watching this, you're an MCU fan, and even if you aren't, even if you just wanted to hear a good review, good spoiler review, then hey, appreciate you. Anyways, um, so so breaking on down, Spider-Man or Peter, however which way you want to call him, Peter, he went from looking at his friends began their college career at MIT, Ned and MJ, his girlfriend, to seeing the posts all the way up until they graduated from college. And so, he basically, kept tabs on them or through Ned because Ned was making his lies or whatever like that. Keeping tabs on them in terms of just making sure they was okay, and of course he was missing them because those were his friends. That was his girlfriend, that was his best friend. He missed them, and so seeing that they were happy, seeing that they were living a great life, what I'm saying, he felt good about his decision of not trying to keep up with, or not revealing himself to them way back when. What I'm saying, after everything had happened. He had the opportunity to, but he just didn't. And it was like, oh, dang. So, with that being said, we move on to, um, what I'm saying, an armored truck has been taken over. An armored truck has been taken over, and Spider-Man's trying to stop it. And while he's trying to stop it, first and foremost, the action scenes in here was incredible, amazing, spectacular. You know, all the adjectives that Spider-Man is known for, they were they were on point. They were on point. His fighting style, the movements, the effects, the way he was swinging, all of that was freaking amazing. So he trying to stop this armored truck, and while he's doing that, lo and behold, this guy who of course he came across with in between movies, in between that time, by the name of Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, what I'm saying, is also on the trail as well, and he's like, hey Frank, go home, man. What I'm saying? This too big for you, man. Don't worry about all this. I got it. And Frank, he just doing his thing. They got a as Tom stated in the interview, him and John Bernthal, who of course plays Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, they got like a little brother, big brother type of relationship, whatnot like that. And so Spider-Man, he's trying to stop this. Oh, and he of course has a friend on the police force who he converses with every so often, to keep her in tabs with what's going on. Of course, the legendary, for us comic fans, Jean the Wolf, what I'm saying, who was Spider-Man's friend on the force, what I'm saying, and Jean the Wolf, awesome character, awesome iconic character in the Spider-Man universe in the comic books. We've got introduced to her, so that was great seeing her. And if I am mistaken, that was my girl from the Bear who was playing her. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that was my girl from the Bear because I haven't looked at the Bear in a while, so it's been a while since I seen her face. But I believe that was my girl from the Bear who was playing her. So let me see. And I know the new season came out too. I gotta catch up to the new season. I know the new season done dropped, so let me make sure and check. Trying to find her. Hold on for a sec. Yeah, Tina, who plays Tina on the Bear, Liza Cohen Zayas. Yeah, so she plays Jean the Wolf, so that's real cool to see her because she's an amazing actress. I love her spunk. I love her, what I'm saying, just you feel me? So yeah, it was great seeing her play Jean the Wolf, being in the Spider-Man universe. That was awesome to see her in that. And her birthday just passed too. Her birthday was July 15th. She just turned 54. So shout outs to her, most definitely. 54. My dad will be 72. Reverse years. Anyway, but shout outs to my dad, aka the Archer, aka Dude. But yeah. And so she was basically asking, do you got anything going on? Like, I mean, is this all you do? You just be crying for it? Cause I don't know you, blase. Like, hey, you need to go do some things from time to time or whatever like that. And so like, I guess so, whatnot. And so, I mean, Peter, he was just into, just doing what he was doing. He was trying to stay busy, and of course, if you understand he was trying to stay busy because, he didn't want to think about the sacrifice he made of, not being in his friends' lives and not, being a part of that normal world anymore. Just being able to hang out and cool out and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's completely alone. All he do is just woo woo, just do his Spider-Man thing. And so, anyway, getting back to this armored truck thing, Spider-Man, he, eventually stopped it and, got inside, but then he saw that it was this old lady that was in the van. I mean, in the truck. I mean, in the tank. And then next thing you know, boom, she jumped in. She became somebody else. If you ever seen the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington, it reminded you of that. You know what I'm saying? It was like, this person a body snatcher. This person is a demon. This person that running through different people. And um, so you know, this person eventually ended up on the roof of the on the roof because they was getting ready to transport Max Gorgon, aka the Scorpion. They was getting ready to transport him to another prison, but then the person who was doing all the body switching um, came across and came across the pilot and said, nah, go take him elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Woo, woo, woo. And that's what it was. So um, they succeeding in terms of rerouting Scorpion somewhere else. And so Spider-Man was trying to figure it out because they tried to get into Spider-Man's head, tried to like snatch his body or whatnot, but they couldn't get into his head. So it was just like, oh, like, no, can't do me, player, can't do me. And so Spider-Man was just trying to figure that out. He was like, okay, what's going on here? What's woozy, woozy, woozy? And then happenstance, he was in the store. Of course, he visits his Aunt May's grave. You know what I'm saying, on the regular, takes her flowers and whatnot like that, which I gotta do next week for my mom. But her birthday is on August 7th. So with that being said, he saw Ned. And um, he he saw Ned. He was at the store. He was buying some beers, and then he was buying this I guess it was an energy drink or whatever type of drink it was. He was like, "Yeah, if you see me, don't sell me this." And you know what? Go ahead and sell it to me. Sell me two right now. And then that's it after that. And so he went ahead and followed Ned. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up at a party. It was basically a home warming party, to celebrate, I guess, graduation or the home warming party. Because him and MJ, who are awesome friends, they moved in together, and and he found his way to the party. He had brought flowers, and then he saw MJ again for the first time. Before he saw her, he saw Ned's room where he had this whole wall dedicated to Spider-Man and whatnot. And Ned came out of the bathroom, and he saw Peter, and he was like, yeah, I ain't being weird or nothing. I was just like, just like he saved us when we was in high school, and I just thought he was freaking cool, and he just wanted to say, thank you, I wanted to thank him for saving him and all that type of stuff. So if he ever saw him again, or ever had a chance to talk to him, that's what he wanted to do. And so that's what he did. And he then saw MJ. Told her, oh yeah, I'm a neighbor. She like a friendly neighbor. He is a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But anyway, so he gave her the flowers, and then he saw her with this dude, and the dude, he was like, yeah, that's my girl. And when they were talking about, snatching the little drinks that Ned had got away from him and whatnot, and he like, yeah, that's my girl, blah blah blah. And as soon as Peter saw that, he was like, I gotta go. Like, all right, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting her to wait on me after 4 years, and she didn't know me, so well, but how that be. But he saw that and was just like, dang, And so, with that being said, after that, he had been getting these headaches lately too. He had been getting these headaches and whatnot like that, and he made it back home, and he basically spazzed out and passed out. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just like, man. And so he woke up in a web cocoon. And if you know this Peter Parker, Peter Parker, or regular Peter Parker, or as Peter Parker as we know him. You know what I'm saying? His webs are, derived from his web shooters. They are mechanical. They are mechanical web shooters. And for those who own either Avery comic books or only seen the Tobey Spider-Man movies, Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man Peter Parker, had organic web shooters, which means it came out of him. And he woke up in his web cocoon, and he came up out of it, and next thing you know, he shot some web about his wrist. So now this Peter Parker, MCU Peter Parker, Tom Holland, now has organic webs coming up out of him, which of course would be the evolution of his abilities. And so basically, what was going on was, as he, you know, was checking, his devices, his computer and whatnot. It basically pinpointed that his genes that are, arachnid, his arachnid DNA was elevating. It was spiking up. Basically kind of like, what I'm saying, like it at a certain point it was here, but then it started going up here. So in other words, he was becoming more spider. He was becoming more spider-like, which meaning that he no longer had. I mean, he had organic webs coming up out of him. So his spider genes were increasing. They were evolving, and what I'm saying, they were elevating up. And so it was like, okay, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, before that, he did go see someone to find out some more information about where Max could be, as far as where Scorpion could be, and because this location Scorpion went to, he got released. He got released. You know what I'm saying? He got walked on up out of there, and so he got help from our girl Yelena, aka Black Widow. Original Black Widow, Natasha's sister. Of course, who was in Thunderbolts. He got some info, and he was trying to find out about this thing called VMAX. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out about this whole VMAX situation. So, they was trying to find out where that was at. And so, saying, Spider-Man, he was cool with, the director or leader of Damage Control, black dude who was like, like, yeah, Spider-Man, yeah, you my folk, man. Yeah, we right here. We tight like that. But anyway, so beyond that, so after Peter, was trying to get used to his organic webs, that was when Scorpion, they found out Scorpion was out loose on the town and whatnot. And so Spider-Man made his way there, and it was like, he was trying to get at Scorpion, and then it was Scorpion was like, oh, I mean, oh, you don't know it's me? And it was the body snatcher, it was the body snatcher they was talking to. And so that's when Peter was like, oh, snap, like, oh, crap, oh, like, man. And so he was egging Spider-Man on, and Spider-Man eyes went all the way black. You know what I'm saying? Whole eyeball went black. He was looking like a whole Spider-Man, for real, for real. And he pummeled the crap out of Scorpion, in the process injuring a cop that was on their way there to help out. And and Jean the Wolf, told him, hey, you gotta calm down. Jean the Wolf told him, hey, you gotta calm down. I don't know what's going on. Hey, you gotta, you spazzing out. You can't be acting like this. And Spider-Man, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Like, shoot. And so he was like, all right, I gotta talk to somebody. I gotta talk to somebody who would know more about this than anybody that I know. And he went to a school where a professor was teaching class, a professor by the name of Bruce Banner. You know what I'm saying? Who I do believe the most uneducated person of Marvel would know, Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. And so he came there, basically incognito. Well, he was out in the open as far as his face go. Because nobody knows who Peter Parker is. And so, he asked him, about mutations and whatnot, and what would be the best way to subside everything. And he was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, you could, yeah, do something that could suppress those genetic abilities. And then if you did something universal type, that would suppress all of your, what I'm saying, abilities, extra abilities or whatnot like that. And so Spider-Man, he was thinking about that, and considered that, and he was making some test runs, and eventually, daggone did one right. But in the process of all that, while he was out testing, his new gadgets and whatnot, he came across the body snatcher, and the body snatcher was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I know who you are now." You know what I'm saying? Because the body snatcher, the real person who was doing the body snatching, was at Peter's apartment at the same time, while talking through somebody else, and said, "Yeah, I'm about to go get your MJ." Because I done read this letter that you kept in this cup all these years. So yeah, I'm about to go holler at her real quick. And so he was like, "Oh, don't you do it?" And like, nope. And so the chase was on. The chase was on to get to MJ first. You know what I'm saying? Between Spider-Man and the Body Snatcher, between Spider-Man and the Body Snatcher, and then lo and behold, boom, he got the MJ. He got the MJ and told her, "Oh yeah, we got to go because that Body Snatcher trying to get you, girl. I gotta take you with me, blase, blase." And you know, I didn't know you really Spider-Man. Like, hey, it's me. You feel me? And so he got her away, and then MJ started talking to him like, why will you be after me? Will you be after me because we must know each other? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that must be it because we know each other, and did we know each other in the past? Like, were we friends? Were we more than friends? And and then he let me see who you are. And then he took his mask off. She like, first she kissed him. First she kissed him, and then you know then she said, and then she took his mask off. She was like, "Peter," and then they hugged and he kissed me, and he was so happy. Like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you remember me." You know what I'm saying? "Oh, it's you." I miss you so much. I love you, and like I love you too. And then that one she flipped the script on him was like, "Well, you pitiful, man. Oh, you thought there was gonna be like some Disney magical kiss, like, oh, one kiss gonna make everything right." She ain't thinking about you, bro. Like, she ain't got a thought of you in her head. She do not remember you at all, bro. And that was the body snatcher talking through MJ. And at that point, Spider Man was just like, had to hiccup with Harry Osborn, aka James Franco, the like, hold on, like, you ain't you ain't my girl. Like, you ain't my girl. Like, hold on, man. Hold on. And so that one Spider Man, he about to get tough with it. His eye got black, and he's like, oh, and by the way, yeah, he was back on his organic web type joint right now at this point, because everything was whacking out on him, fizzing out on him when they were doing the chase now, and so it was like, yeah, and so then MJ, being possessed by Body Snatcher, kicked, like basically did the kick off Spider Man, and then was falling on down, and then he caught her, and then um, Body Snatcher released her, and he was like, all right, what have you got going? Come on now, don't do it, man, don't, come on now, and the Body Snatcher, being left, the person who walked up on Peter was this guy, and what I'm saying, and he got on back in the car, and Peter noticed in the back seat it was somebody, a hooded person in the back seat, and he caught, through his um, camera in his eyes, he caught the person in the back seat, which was a hooded girl with red hair, and at that point it was like, okay, so we, who remember hearing about, the casting, I was like, is the rumor true? Is it true? But wait, who is she? Is she Typhoid Mary, or what is going on? And so it was like, oh wow, who is she? And so Spider-Man had did facial recognition. Once he got MJ to safety, what I'm saying? Once he got out of safety, took her to the Punisher spot. He was like, "Hey, man, bro, hey, I need to bring her here, bro." And Punisher like, "All right, bro." Reluctantly, he was like, "All right, bro, all right." And then Punisher looking at him like, "Dang, bro, you can't even drink no coffee. You want to keep your mask on drinking coffee, around me and all that. Well, boy, you wild, man, you wild." And so Peter, doing the facial recognition on the girl in the back seat, found her name. Her name is Jean Elaine Gray. Jean Elaine Gray. Jean Grey has entered the MCU. Shout outs on that. She is now the first official mutant of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Jean Grey of the X-Men. So that's who this young lady was in the back seat who was doing all this body snatching. And it was like, yo, what? Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, alright, then bet. But, but he's still trying to figure out what the whole thing is and this whole V-match thing that she's looking for and all that type joint. And so, push come to shove, you know what I'm saying? Him and Frank, they went on to damage control because they knew that she was going to be going for them, and so they was on lockdown because there was something going on in their building that was just going crazy. Because she had basically wanted to get Max out. She wanted to get Max out, aka Scorpion, to go take on damage control. Since Spider-Man thwarted that, she decided to go another route, and so the inhibitor that a certain professor had no longer existed, and she was able to take over the mind of the Hulk. And so the Hulk was there going fighting Spider-Man. Whoop whoop whoop. You know what I'm saying? It was amazing. It was amazing. And then boom. You know what I'm saying? She ended up losing her control over the Hulk and whatnot. And so he was able to turn back into Dr. Banner. But then after all of that frustration, all the mind games, mind control, it went to the next level, baby. And it went from being Professor Hulk, which she was controlling. She was controlling Professor Hulk. It went from being able to control that one to the real thing came out. He got bigger, stronger, badder, and greener. And it was the incredible, the savage Hulk. And that Hulk was a problem. That Hulk, yo, that was one of the best parts about the movie, seeing Hulk out. We've been waiting for that for years. That was the Hulk that was supposed to win against Thanos, because the Hulk that won against Thanos wasn't even on that level. That was the Hulk that was supposed to be going against Thanos. That was the Hulk. That was the Hulk. And so Spider-Man, of course, ended up defeating him with the power of friendship, looking into his eyes, saying, "Hey, I'm Peter, bro." And then the Hulk looked at himself in the mirror, in the broken glass, the broken mirror, and he's like, "All right, bro, I'm cool out." And so that was the end of that. But it was amazing. That was amazing. So by this time, all that going on, Punisher has now been taken over by Jean Grey, which of course, I was referring to as the body snatcher. Now we, of course, this is now Jean Grey. So he was taken over by Jean Grey, and they was on their way into getting the damage control dude and everything of that nature. And so Spider-Man, of course, ended up stopping her and got his universal inhibitor on her, which of course suppressed her powers, rendering her normal. And it was over. They got the girl handled, and whoop whoop. And before she had went out, she was like Sarah, and passed on out. And so Spider-Man asked damage control dog, "Hey, what you talking about Sarah?" And what I'm saying? He was like, Yeah, she was must have got one of my memories. She saw Sarah in my mind, my old lady or whatever. He said, my old lady or whatever like that. Woo woo woo. And so Spider-Man like, okay, bet. And so, that was it. And Spider-Man then, of course, went back to where MJ was at. And oops, MJ found the letter. MJ found the letter that he had for 4+ years. And she was like, okay, I just read this letter and I've been wondering what was happening. So yeah, so since I don't read this letter, I need to see this Peter Parker. Because she just read the letter, but she don't know who Peter Parker is. But you know, she read that and was like, okay, so dang. So then she was like, all right, take your mask off. I want to see Peter Parker. And then he took his mask off, and she was like, oh snap, you the dude who was at the party, huh? Okay, and he was, basically confessed all to her, like, man, yeah, like, I've been missing you all these years. I love you, blase, blase, and she was like, that's cool, you know what I'm saying, and I see why you would risk all that, and I guess stay away from old girl, cause then she remembered, oh yeah, you came by the coffee shop and right before me and Ned went off to college, why you didn't tell then and all that type stuff, and she like, yeah, like you and this girl, y'all really had a connection, but yeah, that ain't even me no more because like I have zero memory of you. I don't know you at all, bro. Like I have no memory of you. Like none, zero. I have no memory of you. And so it was like, dang. And she was just like, yeah, can you take me home? And she was getting ready to go herself, but then she realized she didn't have a phone and all that type of stuff. So, he took her home. It was a sad swing home. And then he got on in there, and Ned, saying he came through. He's like, man, my spider trackers, man, them will say Spider Man like right here, and he looked up and he saw Spider Man right there, and so she asked him if before Ned part, she was like, I mean, do you want to at least see Ned? And he's like, and then him and Ned they hung out. Of course, Spider Man kept his face on with everything like that, and she drew a picture of him and Ned, cooling out with each other, except without his mask on, and showed it to Peter, later on and whatnot like that. And so Peter was like, what I'm saying, like, asking her, about how it felt to, well, she was talking about, he had confessed to her that I just wanted to, let you know that I'm sorry about you and me kissing because when Jean took over your body, you had kissed me and then I kissed you back. So I just wanted to let you know that. And she like, okay, thanks for letting me know that because I ain't remember nothing. Like it was instantaneous. The mind wipe. The mind control. Like I didn't see nothing, didn't feel nothing. It was nothing. And then that's what made it click to him. Like, oh, oh boy lied to me. Damage control boy lied to me. So he he lied. Oh, it's like that. Okay, bet. And so that's when it was revealed to who Sarah was, and we saw Sarah in the flashback. Sarah is Jean's sister, and they of course were two girls by themselves, cooling out at the park, you know, showcasing their amazing abilities, their most uncanny abilities, and then boom, Sarah got snatched up by damage control, and she wiped, not wiped, but she controlled Jean to because Jean was coming to on her way to rescue her. And speaking of, for those that don't know, Jean Grey is of course played by the amazing Sadie Sink, best known for her role as Max on Stranger Things. So Jean was making her way towards old girl. I mean, making her way towards her sister, and then sister, you know, made her turn around, and Jean, snapped out of it, and she was far away, and that's when Jean was like, "Guys, it's time for me to spaz out on these folks," you know what I'm saying? And that's when she started, looking for her sister, and so They had her up under control, had the chip in her neck, and it's yeah, courtesy of Spider Man. That's why we was able to control you. Yeah, ha ha ha, Spider Man. Yeah, that part. So, um, so she just want to know what her sister was at, and he was like, "Hey, don't worry, we gonna figure out how to do this together because what y'all got, the abilities y'all got, is not shouldn't be in the hands of no little kids or whatever. So we gonna get it right. We gonna get them abilities right because we deserve to have them abilities, and so we gonna get you right. Cause we went through trial and error a lot with your sister, but you know what I'm saying. The sacrifice was well worth it. Sacrifice, huh? Okay, bet. And so as they kept on hitting, going back and forth, trying to do her snatching thing, try to wipe her, and then she eventually looked back. She was sitting in the chair. She looked back. Fan was over her head, and up there at the top of the fan on the ceiling was a label. It was a label of the name of the manufacturer of the fan, and it was burnt. It was old. The letters were faded in the middle, but the first letter of the word was V, and the last three letters of the word was Max. So that was VMAX. And with that being said, the fact that she was right there looking up at the fan means that was the last thing that her sister looked at. Meaning that they killed her daggone sister trying to exploit her powers. And that, of course, set Jean off. And then Gene basically shut down the whole island. I think they was in Manhattan or whatever, or in New York, or y'all know the landscape. But anyway, she shut down that whole spot, shut down the whole island. Nobody could move. Punisher, he was outside of it, and it was like, dang, the only person who was up in there able to do any move and whatnot was Spider Man. And so it was like, dang, she shut that whole thing down. Spider Man was on his way there to come help her out, and he ended up fighting the hand, the hand ninjas that Damage Control had on they basically their payroll now. So he ended up fighting the hand ninjas, and then next thing you know, he was fighting people from Damage Control, who of course had weapons that were supposed to destroy his spider webs, his mechanical spider webs, and they were being controlled by Jean Grey. She was like, "Yeah, I don't need your help, bro. You thought I was gonna be a damsel in distress? I don't need you. You the one who put me here." And they killed my sister. So yeah, all this about to get shut down. It's a wrap on all this. And so Spider Man was like, "Man, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? Blase, blase." And she was like, "Yeah, like, hey, you ain't no better, you know what I'm saying? You trying to suppress your abilities. You trying to, not be who you are, you know what I'm saying? You either gonna be a spider or a man." And then that was when Peter got in his bag and he was like, "You know what? I'm both. I'm both Spider Man and Peter Parker. You know what I'm saying? I'm both Spider Man and Peter Parker. I'm with it." And that's when he daggone leveled up, being able to do his organic webbing, and it was magnificent. It was magnificent. And so he made his way to Jean, where she basically had the director of Damage Control, who so deserved to be, you know, damaged permanently. But she was on her way to doing it, and Spider-Man Peter, he was like, "Hey, you can go in my mind." While that was going on, Frank Castle was setting up across the way to go ahead and snipe her on out. And so while he was setting that up, Jean went into Peter's mind finally and was able to see what we saw a glimpse of earlier with him and his Aunt May, of course, played magnificently by Marissa Tomei. Once again, which was great to see her. Always great to see Marissa Tomei. Been a fan of hers since the days of My Cousin Vinny, and even going back to A Different World. So Marissa Tomei, aka Aunt May, was talking to Peter on his bed, and giving him some encouragement, this, that, and the third, and then it flipped from seeing him and her to seeing Jean and her, and then that conversation got finished, and then Peter came in and was talking to Jean, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry about what happened." So she was like, "Sorry what happened to you, honey." And, he was like, "You know what I'm saying? We, basically encouraging her when it comes to the great power, when it comes to great responsibility in his own way." And then he heard the and he was like, and the shot went off. He moved Jean out the way. My boy got clipped. Spidey got clipped, laying on the floor, pool of blood, and you know what I'm saying. Jean shut her whole over the city down. Frank, he got Spider-Man to the hospital, and then it was a whole vigil of Spider-Man, and trying to get him. It reminded you, of course, of what happened in Ultimate Spider-Man, how Ultimate Spider-Man got taken out. You know what I'm saying? Which of course led to the rise of Miles Morales. So, we was just checking and seeing and what was gonna happen and this, that, and the third, and he eventually woke up. Punisher was in the room with him. Frank was in the room with him. You know what I'm saying? He looked over there, saw MJ's picture that she drew of him and his boy Ned, and Punisher told him, "Hey, whenever you ready to get on up out of here, I got you." So Peter, he came out through the door, and then everybody like, "Oh yeah, Spider-Man!" Frank in the window with Spider-Man's mask on and his gloves. He's like, "Hey, yeah." And so Peter, he made it up out of there with one kid looking at him doing pew pew. Whether or not that kid realized that was Spider-Man or not remains to be seen. But you know what I'm saying, he saw Spider-Man, Peter, and pew pew. And then Peter dipped on up out of there. And so Peter took MJ's advice, and because she said he should tell Ned, he would probably understand. And you know what I'm saying, he came across Ned, saw him in the store because he was getting ready to go take some flowers, get some flowers, probably take them for Aunt May. And he saw Ned in the store, and Ned was like, "Oh yeah, you the flower guy from the party the other night." Yeah, man. I'm Peter. Because when Spider-Man was visiting them, when he left, when he realized that realized that old boy lied to him, damage control lied to him. MJ had said, be careful, Peter," when he left out the window. And Ned was like, "Oh my, man, Spider-Man's name is Peter? Like, wow." And so anyway, we get there, and Spider-Man and Peter and Ned, you know what I'm saying, he's like, "Hey, I'm Peter," and he's like, "Okay, Peter, I'm Ned." And then they by step did they handshake, and then Ned looked at him and was like, "Peter," like, yeah, like boom. He's like, "My boy, remember me, man." Like, he's like, yeah, that was it. Check out this clip right here of, just leaving the theater. Whoop whoop. I got a Spider-Man fan right here. Look, she got that vintage Todd McFarlane art on right now. You feel me? Spider-Man issue number 1. How did you enjoy the movie? Amazing, spectacular. You did that part. So we're gonna tune in.
Emotional.
Very emotional. Very emotional. Very emotional. You know what I'm saying? I had a little tear up in there. You know what I'm saying? It had the romance. You know how Spider-Man be. Spider-Man be on his emo. That part. So I hope y'all enjoyed this review, this spoiler review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. An amazing movie, a spectacular movie. You know what I'm saying? Tom Holland, salute to you. You've done a great job portraying Spider-Man for the past decade. This was the most Spider-Man movie that we have had in a long time. It's really the most Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man No Way Home. And the previous two Spider-Man movies, the previous two home movies, these last two movies make those first two movies way better, because it was the growth of him going from being an Iron Man Junior protege, Iron Man protege, to dealing with the world after Iron Man's death to, you know, trying to find his way in terms of now his identity being revealed to the whole world, to then now living as a nomad, basically living as a nomad. Nobody knows him, this, that, and the third. So the evolution of Spider-Man in the MCU, and of course not to discount when he died and came back, from Avengers Infinity War to Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Endgame. So the evolution of Tom Holland as Spider-Man throughout these past 10 years, and of course his very first appearance, Captain America Civil War, to the evolution of his character in the past decade has been nothing short of amazing. And I salute to him, salute to everybody involved. Shout out to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, of course, the creators of Spider-Man, for Marvel Comics. And yeah, this movie definitely did its big one. It brought us, some amazing characters that were introduced originally in Spider-Man, such as the Punisher. Um, Hulk and Spider-Man, of course, have fought time and time again over the decades. And yeah, and of course, bringing in a founding member of the Uncanny X-Men, Jean Grey, aka Marvel Girl. Most definitely amazing. Most definitely uncanny. And with that being said, Zendaya did a great job, being MJ, aka Michelle Jones. Um, my guy who of course played Ned Leeds, another great job. Everybody in the movie played their part and did what they needed to do and made it an amazing movie. Amazing movie. Shout out to Mark Ruffalo, of course, reprising his role as the Hulk. John Bernthal reprising his role as the Punisher, and of course his first movie appearance, his first cinematic appearance as the Punisher, after being, starring on the Netflix Marvel series, and then of course his and of course being on the Disney Plus Daredevil and Punisher One Last Kill, the short before this came out. So yeah, most definitely amazing, spectacular, all that. We up out of here, y'all. It's your man Slim Jim Longfoot, aka the GOAT King of America. If you actually watch this all the way through, put 1962 with a spider web in the comments. Put 1962 with a spider web emoji in the comments. And with that being said, I'm up out of here, y'all. Stay blessed up, alright? One love.
Slim Jim Longfoot, Slim Jim Longfoot.